Hi guys, it's Tony here. So today I'm going to be reviewing the 2002 film Barbershop. So this film came out in 2002, of course. It stars Ice Cube, Sean Patrick Thomas, Eve, Michael Ealy, Leonard Earl House. Hold up, what I actually meant to say was Leonard Earl House. I don't know what the heck I was saying in that clip right there. Crazy. Anthony Anderson, Lamar Tate, Keith David. Also, there's a surprise appearance by Dion Cole. And also, can't forget Cedric the Entertainer as Eddie. Well, just going off the film is pretty decent in my opinion. It's a nice subversion of the obvious and expectations. It's a great form of it expresses stereotypes, but it goes against these stereotypes pretty well. For example, with D. Ray Davis's character, who I didn't really like his portrayal of the character, but I liked how they subverted the expectation of him just being a con man, sly guy, and showing that he basically provided for the he's a regular person around the barbershop establishment, and he helped out Eddie at times. Also, later in the film, we see Lamar's character, who was initially shown to be a thieving guy that just wants a haircut. He ends up, doing it to get a job to provide for his daughter, who, he doesn't want as, being in charge of a crackhead daughter. But one portrayal I didn't like in the film was Ice Cube's portrayal of Calvin. I didn't really like his portrayal of Calvin in the film. He basically, he has some character flaws, but they're not really, profound character flaws that have much meaning to them or get fixed. Like, he goes against stuff that he basically goes against his word often. Like, he tells them no cussing, but then he, immediately cusses right after. He tells Terry no cussing in the barbershop, where she's like, who took my goddamn apple juice? And and then I don't like the costume choice they chose for the man. He kind of looks like a reject from Fat Albert almost. Hey. Hey. He looks like somebody in that Bill Cosby would have thought of, like the way he was dressing. Like it's not like swag or anything like that. So it was kind of weird. And he has this, Maxwell looking haircut. But yeah, so the film is pretty decent. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. This serious and moments that they balanced in there with the comedy, because of course something like this has got to be lighthearted, of course, first, but it was a pleasant surprise seeing the serious moments in there, especially with Eddie as he transforms into a serious character at times, specifically when Calvin tells him that he's selling the barbershop, and then he tells him, why are you doing that? This barbershop means so much to the community, and that his father, who did die broke, died rich of ambition. He died rich of his pretty much having good social well-being with the community, with how he provided for everybody and was, knew everybody and took care of them. One actor who did a really good job in this movie, even though he isn't even the primary antagonist in the film is Keith David as Lester Wallace, who, it wasn't the best Keith David performance, but he did his job here. Like, for example, Keith David in Lottery Ticket, he was much better in that film, which also has Ice Cube in it. Jimmy is more of an antagonist throughout the majority of the film. I don't think, some people may not think he is, but he starts a lot of conflicts in the film, and he tends to think he's smarter than everybody else, and doesn't, believe that, you know, he's above, above everybody. He's above everybody intellectually. And he tends to throw backhand shade and comments to pretty much everybody in the dang barbershop. From Ricky to Isaac to Terry to Dinka. Only person he doesn't talk shit to is Calvin, of course, who's his boss. And then, but the good part about the film is that one by one, it's shown that he is a dumbass. One assumes that the corner shop owner, the bodega owner, that he's Pakistani when it's real that he's from India. He actually tells Calvin when he later goes into a shop that he's from India. And he tries to make the claim that scallops are not shellfish, which he later gets disproven wrong by Ricky, who tells him, because it's a mollusk. Because it's a mollusk, it's a shellfish. So I love that moment. He looks stupid as hell. And then, even when he tries to talk down to the new guy, the white guy, who's not really popular because, he's a white guy in a barbershop, of course. And he even tries to talk down to him. He's going face toe to toe with this guy, and then winds up, getting proven wrong when he tries to make the guy prove himself, giving a haircut, which I love that scene as well. He gives him a haircut. Some awesome music in the background, Mr. Cheeks, lights, camera, action, instrumental in the background. That was pretty good. But yeah, he gives him a haircut, a decent haircut, decent shape up, and then he looks stupid as hell, and he ends up apologizing. So, it was a nice character development for that character throughout the film. Many other characters have some character development as well, including Dinka. I liked his character, even though he's a stereotypical depiction of an African guy, which I've seen better performances done by Michael Black that are more funnier. It wasn't as funny when, did his African shit, like, yes, I am African, type shit. So, but I liked Leonard Arrow's portrayal of him when he goes past his stereotypes, in terms of his, infatuation for E's character, Terry. He basically, stands up for her when the boyfriend is just being a dick and just, is trying to win her back over. He punches the shit out of him, which I like that scene. And the guy in the background, I think it was Billy, was like, man, that's a safari punch. That's a safari punch. And yeah, that I like that scene, so that was pretty good. And even though JD, Anthony Anderson, and Billy Lamar Tate are quote unquote antagonists, they're kind of shallow antagonists. They're not intimidating really forces. They're just stupid ass guys who took an ATM and decided to basically just walk around town with it and just transport it to different places. It's like almost like, it reminds me of like Marv and fucking Harry from Home Alone. They're just so stupid.
We're the wet bandits.
You're sick, you know that? You're really sick.
I mean, Marv is stupid. Harry is not really that dumb, but it's kind of like that shtick. It was funny. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely some funny shenanigans with these two characters, just constantly foiling each other. Fucking ATM falls on JD's foot, and goddamn, when Billy is trying to fucking get into the ATM I think they're at a motel or something, he ends up setting fire to the shit. Or it could be an apartment, but he ends up setting fire to the room because he gets too high, and ends up setting fire to the room. So that was kind of funny. So, but yeah, I liked most of the characters, and I liked most of the actors' portrayals of these characters, except Ice Cube, of course. I've seen better performances from Ice Cube, even a film that came out this year, that same year, All About the Benjamins, which is a pretty good, portrayal in that film. It's not better than this film, but I liked Ice Cube's portrayal more in that film, and it kind of hampers it a little bit for me when he, since he's the main guy in the film and he's the protagonist, kind of hurts the film. If the film, because you can have anybody, you could put in almost any actor in his spot and it would work. I think you could have put somebody even like fucking Mike Epps, you could put, for example, in his role, or not Mike Epps. I'm trying to think of some other actor that could probably work in that role. You could put any black male actor in that role that's somewhat funny, and he could have done a better job than Ice Cube in this film. You could put Tracy Morgan in this role, for example, and it would have worked. Yeah, he's kind of flat, especially towards the end when he's talking about he got a gun to his head, trying to beg for to keep the shot. He basically just gets flat, like, oh, you're gonna have to shoot me because this shot's my life type shit, and he just flat delivery. I would expect a little emotion from a guy who's pretty much begging for not only his life, but for the shot that he's realized is the heart of his community. So it is kind of that was fell flat right there. And I assume that this is probably how his acting follows in other movies. I haven't seen other movies in a little bit, but I think, yeah, his acting is maybe it gotten better, but definitely in this film is very, very flat. Like, another character I liked was Ricky. I liked his character. I liked the portrayal Michael Ealy gave him. He was very, Michael Ealy was probably one of the best casting, people for the job, because the way the character's written, he's cool, he's suave, but kind of looks like a bad boy. Michael Ealy does that. He's a quote unquote pretty boy that's gotten in trouble, but he's trying to keep his nose clean and pretty much work. Get that money cleanly and grind pretty much like a regular working man. And he gets caught up in the mess because of his cousin taking his truck and getting him in jail. And he has character development as well, even throughout the film. As you can see later on in the film, he, instead of going back on his old ways and using a gun to solve his problems, he throws it in the water. So I like that as well. But I was surprised to see Deon Cole in this film. Even though I know he is in the later films, it was just very surprising when I saw him. When I first watched this movie initially, I was very surprised. I was like, that can't be him. Because I'm good at faces, and I recognized the man's face, and I said, his face looks familiar. And then it came to mind, it's like a light bulb. That's Deon Cole from Damn Blackish, the comedian. So he's much more chubbier, and he's lighter skinned. Like, I don't know if he got a lot of skin tanning in Atkins, but he's definitely changed a lot. Definitely. Looking at that scene again too, in retrospect, I noticed that scene, there's a continuity error. The first part he's standing up, and the second part he's getting the cloth tied around his neck like he's preparing to get his hair done. Then the shot right after shows that he's standing up. After it shows Ice Cube tweaking out in the back. He's standing up again, so editors got to do a better job. Should have noticed that first time looking at the film. Yeah, this film is quite decent. It's decent. I don't know where it was filmed exactly. I think it may have been filmed in Chicago. It's set in Chicago, of course, but it may have been filmed somewhere else. Oh, so yeah, it was filmed. I could tell because the way the trains are set, it was either filmed in. It had to been either filmed in Chicago or maybe Philly, but yeah, it was filmed in Chicago. So there's a whole arc in this movie too about Terry and Kevin's character, their relationship, and how he's using her. And he's like an alpha male type, pooky Ray guy that basically was before the movie, manipulating her of course, and basically, doing his alpha male shit and just having multiple women, and basically he ends up losing a girl. The girl, puts him on, puts him in the fire, and basically gets rid of him, and he gets his comeuppance. But the actor they used to portray him, as a guy, it's kind of hard to make him look like a bad guy. Like he, I know it's not the guy that played him, Isaiah Mustafa. I know it's not the Old Spice guy, but he reminds me of the Old Spice guy. Like he reminds me of him a lot. So look, when I was watching, I kept half expecting him to go like, "Oh, look at me, look at you, look at me, look at you," type shit, and to take his shirt off or something like that. So yeah, this film doesn't unfortunately have Queen Latifah in it yet, but I think they had somebody else in their role. The other person that was working next to Calvin, who's kind of like a gossipy person, your local gossip chick who just tells all the beans and spills it. Yeah, basically, yeah, this film is quite decent, and the critics have rated this movie a good movie. Let's look at some of the film budgets made. So the production budget was about $12 million, which is box office. So they made a pretty good profit from this film, rightfully so. I think for its time, it's a good comedy, and a lot of those 2000s, it's got that 2000s feel to it. Definitely watching the film. One thing I did like, a scene I liked as well, another scene, was basically the scene where Isaac and Jimmy were about to get into it and about to scrap. And they turned the music on and they were able to, simmer that down. And then they showed the same song. It was Marvin Gaye. Got to Give It Up thing. Marvin Gaye. Yeah, it's a good song to use for that scene. Definitely, it's a song that does, got me moving. It got me, tapping my feet in the scene and stuff like that when getting ready to get up. And it showed across the city how music brings people together. So, which is true. It actually is a true thing. Music does bring people together, even in odd, stressful circumstances and undesirable circumstances. It brings people together, brings them, a little joy. That's probably one reason why they have songs playing in department stores to kind of relax the depressed retail workers who are on the verge of ending themselves from working 12-hour shifts. So, yeah, there's that. But overall, I'm gonna have to give this film out of 10. I think I'm gonna give it an 8.5. That's a good rating. The film is good. It would have been much higher if they had somebody else in that lead role. I like Ice Cube in more roles, but this is one of his weaker roles. So yeah, the film is definitely an 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, another person I need to mention that does their part well and is written pretty good is Cedric the Entertainer as Eddie. So he's a vital part of this movie. He's probably one of the reasons why this movie got 2 sequels, because he's a really good character. He basically, even though he looks ridiculous, he looks like he reminds me of how Cedric the Entertainer portrayed Uncle Earl in Damn Johnson's Family Vacation, which D. Ray Davis was also in as a damn Jamaican car salesman, used car salesman. Maybe it was a new car, but he reminds me of Uncle Earl in that movie. How he portrayed him, because the way he talks is exactly the same. Look up Uncle Earl. Look up. They speak exactly the same. Even though that movie came out 2 years after this one, so he basically stole his character from that movie and took it over there. Because the way they talk like this, and and they talk like this, and everything well, man, fuck Jackson Jackson. Like that's how you talk. So, and it's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's pretty funny how he does his stuff. He don't be cutting nobody hair. He be in that chair, eating damn chicken wings, and basically he, like the old guy, is the elder statesman, and he's been here for a long time. And he tells it like it is. He tells his controversial opinions. How unimportant Rosa Parks was, which is very controversial. You already know that, but that was a good, funny scene. He said Rosa Parks ain't do nothing but sit her black ass down. So yeah, it was good. It was a good scene by him in there. And he also, when he was talking about how people don't respect the craftsmanship of barbers, he got a little serious again there in that moment. I think this was halfway through the film. He was talking to a customer about how being a barber is more than just cutting hair. So that was a good scene. I think definitely in the second one, he's a lot less serious. He's a lot more comedic and joking based, which is fine considering the movie is mostly a comedy film. But I didn't like that they did that, which I will say that for when I review the second one. But this one, definitely the best his character was and the best iteration of his character. Messed up that he couldn't be in the third one, of course, because I think I know that he wasn't in that one. Yeah, this film is pretty good. And if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned for more film reviews. If you would like to request a film to review, please leave it in the comments. And I thank you very much for watching this video.